Hello chums, and welcome to Setups for Simpletons. I've created an entire series dedicated to explaining Gran Turismo 7's quirky and sometimes unforgiving tuning system, but sometimes it's nice to just copy someone else's homework and be done with it. So in this series I will take one car at a time, show a complete setup, and a lap of the Nürburgring for good measure. Disclaimer, if you use my setup it does not mean you're a simpleton. Let's begin! Hyundai Elantra N. This absolute beast was added with the most recent update, and it utterly slaps, unless you run it on default settings. Many people have commented on my last couple of videos that the new Hyundai is a bit of a mess, and here's how to get it driving a tad nicer. For the visuals, the car has the wide body fitted, along with aftermarket wheels in the standard size. Increasing the size can slightly improve agility, decreasing the size helps with the curbs. There's a front splitter for front downforce, a rear diffuser for front and rear downforce, and a big ugly rear wing. The custom wing set will provide more downforce than this Type B rear wing, but it's not necessary in this car. One very important thing to note is if you are fully upgrading this car, do not fit the high lift camshaft. It does actually increase power if it's one of the first parts you fit, but once the car is fully upgraded, it actually reduces the maximum power. 592 horsepower with, 634 without. If you've already fitted it, you can buy the new engine from the Extreme tab and start again. The most important part of setting this car up is body height. The front body height absolutely must be set to 130 minimum. If not, the wheels will hit the arches and lock up your steering, which is the primary cause of all of the issues players have had with this car. You will also need to increase natural frequency, which prevents body roll and in turn also helps stop the wheels from tucking into the arches. The rest of the setup is very generic front-wheel drive stuff. The transmission, meanwhile, is pretty much impossible to get wrong because this car has 8 gears. This is one of the best front-wheel drive cars in Gran Turismo 7. It puts down over 600 horsepower with very little drama, though maybe I'm used to the most recent testing of the engine-swapped Golf. Either way, this car doesn't struggle with wheel spin anywhere near as much as you might expect. It's the handling where this car truly excels though. Once you've tweaked out those arch-rubbing issues, this car has handling that pretty much beats every single other front-wheel drive car in the entire game, and the addition of a rear diffuser only makes this even more obvious. The speed this car can carry through high-speed sections is addictive. This isn't just a rival for the Civic Type R, it outright beats it. Unless the Civic has had the engine swap. I cannot recommend this car enough, though I'm curious to see if this thing ever gets an engine swap. Mind you, it's probably going to be a few months before the next update, with the most recent Spec 3 announcement. In the end, I managed a 6 minutes 33, which places this car just ahead of the engine-swapped Golf Mark 7, a car that weighs less and has 150 horsepower more. Turns out handling counts for a lot. So, that was my setup for the new Hyundai. I hope it helped. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and kick me in the bell so you get notified of my future uploads. Take care of yourself, and ta-ra.